right. Well, Kevin, they still call it spring practice, and it's been underway now 2 to 3 days. I know it's difficult to have any takes on it thus far, but that's why we've got you around. So,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, very limited in terms of things that you get to witness, but we did have the opportunity to hear from Ryan Day and Jim Knowles and Kevin Wilson. We have seen a roster, so everybody gets really excited by the number changes that we have there. Cam Babb is wearing 1, Emeka Egbuka is wearing 2, Mayan Williams 3, Kate Stover 8, Jaden Ballard 9, Donovan Jackson 72, G. Scott Jr. 88. We also get the first-year player numbers. I will spare us by reading off a bunch of numbers there. When it comes to news, it's day one. They're not in pads. They're just out there kind of running around. Ryan Day said they kind of treat these first couple of practices like OTAs. They have a couple of practices this week. Ohio State then goes on spring break, and then they resume the last 13 practices on the back end behind spring break. So people are like, well, you don't get any continuity. Well, no, this gives you an opportunity to have more. You're within the window of having more meetings, more hours with the players, things along those lines. So it's important. I mean, it's a hack to be able to have more time, especially going back to an older time where there weren't as many things in the rules that allowed you to have without a football in the hand meetings with your players. We did learn about a group of players that will not be going through spring practice this season. I don't think any of the names are really surprises. Lathan Ransom is on that list after his injury in the Rose Bowl. Tyler Friday, who missed all last season, is on that list. The one name that I guess that everybody would talk about is Harry Miller. His status is still really kind of unknown at this point, as he wasn't able to go last year, and he still remains on the list. And we just don't know at this point. And there's some other bits and pieces, but I want to leave some meat on the bone for Steve, so I'll tag him in here.
Yeah, we got to watch the team stretch for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we got to watch 3 5-minute periods, which were punt team work plus the defensive linemen and offensive linemen kind of working at separate ends. And no 11 on 11 or even 7 on 7 type stuff, just more fundamentals and those kinds of things for position groups and taking snaps and working on handoffs and all that stuff. So they really do start at square one on day one with all the fundamentals, and they brush that every day, obviously, and you have to, or otherwise you'll have mistakes when you're trying to play the game of football without all those fundamentals that everybody takes for granted. They have to spend time on them. So that's what they did yesterday on day one, and we got to watch a little bit of that. So I can't sit here and tell you, ooh, the new defense looks great, or man, they've got this great package of stuff to use Jackson Smith and the Jigba in this way, or man, they got the new running plays for Travion Henderson or anything like that, because it really hasn't evolved to that at this point in the spring just yet. But to me, I thought it was a good first day. They got a lot of work in. I think it was great to look out there and see all the freshman players that were out there on the field. Talk about Devin Brown taking his first snaps on the field as a Buckeye, under the lights, so to speak, in practice with Coach Day there and Coach Dennis there to kind of lead him through it, and following along, of course, behind CJ Stroud and Kyle McCord. They're 1 and 2. Obviously, right now, you had freshmen over at the linebacker position. Gabe Powers and CJ Hicks were out there in the mix, and they looked good. Powers wearing number 36, Hicks wearing number 11. There was also a new number 19, and that was Chip Treyanum, the transfer from Arizona State. He's not the biggest guy in the world, only about 5'11", but he looks like he could bring quite a punch. So he's a guy to keep an eye on as well this spring. You had a couple of the older guys, Taraja Mitchell and E.A. Nateote out there at linebacker as well, running around. So a mix of the old, a mix of the new, and again, nothing that you can really say, oh, this is what we learned, or this is what's definitive about this team for 2022 based off that one practice. Mitchell Melton, a linebacker, has come back from injury, missed all of last season, and he was working out with the defensive lineman yesterday, although he may still cross-train some at linebacker. And also Cade Stover was with the linebacker group. He may cross-train some with the defensive line group. And Ryan Day said don't rule him out, also repping over at tight end potentially, as he was a backup tight end last year for the Buckeyes as well. So a lot to digest there. But again, just keep it all in the frame of mind that this is as Coach Day said, this is the start. This is not the finished product. This is, the roster that we shared in a lot of places said, oh, they've got this guy listed this guy listed that. Well, just don't even worry about it. If it's got a height and a weight and a year next to it and a number, it might be accurate. The position, just kind of quasi-accurate at this point for some of these guys. And what they want are people that can play more than one position. So a linebacker who could line up and rush the passer or drop into coverage or play the run. They want versatility out of these guys. That way the opposing quarterback can't look out there and say, oh, this is number 11. I know these are his responsibilities. They don't want that. They want number 11 to be able to do a little bit of everything and play a different role depending on what the defense is called for that situation. So it's going to be hard to put players into a defined box and say, okay, under the new terminology, this guy is a bandit and this guy is a nickel and this guy is a rush in and this guy's a defensive tackle, because there's going to be a lot of cross training involved. And I know the media loves to declare, this guy is the bandit. We figured it out. Well, he may line up as the bandit on one play, and he may line up at another position on the next. So you just kind of have to roll with the punches, I guess, with this new era of Ohio State defense.